It said that Lindy Hop is a rhythm dance. I certainly believe that, which means one of the ways we can add interest is through expressing rhythm differently and purposefully. Of course, there are so many ways to do this, but in this video, we'll be playing with rhythm through a lead-follow context by speeding up Charleston vocabulary to emphasize even beats. Use this technique in tandem position, hand-to-hand, and kick-throughs. Now this is a more advanced video, so if you're not familiar with those positions, they are linked in the description, but it's going to be tricky. However, I do love a fighter, so if you want to try for it, let me know how it goes. But first, Patreon. Thank you, people of Patreon, for helping to make this video free for everyone in the world, including people like you. It's a voluntary subscription, and the link is in the description. Last year, I was lucky enough to go to Spain for Bar Swingona, and I had a wonderful time teaching with my very talented friend, Claudia Fonte. We shot all of this footage there. In this video, I'll be leading. Claudia, thank you so much for collaborating with me and following in this video. Let's begin by understanding the concept through Tandem Charleston. Let's remind ourselves what a basic push-out is. Rock steps typically happen on odd beats. For this, we're going to speed up part of the push-out to make the rock step happen on an even beat on purpose. Now there are two rock steps on either end of the push-out. We're going to start with the one in open position. Here it is from a few angles. Transparency, this isn't my move. This is a Brooks Prumo move that I have been obsessed with and wanted to show the world. So before we get into the lead and follow, let's just get the rhythm in our bones solo. We're gonna start with the 8-count Charleston, followed by a 6-count hemiola rhythm. Now the follows aren't going to change position the way they normally do. Don't worry about it. We're just focusing on the rhythm right now. Follow along.
And rock step, kick step, rock step, kick step, rock step, step, rock step, step, rock step, kick step, rock step, kick step, rock step, step, rock step, step, rock step, kick step, rock step, kick step. Keep it going. We're going to add a little punch.
We're just doing because it's fun. It's not a lead follow thing. If you're having trouble, say it out loud to yourself. It's okay, you're at home, no one can hear you, but do yourself a favor. All right, let's talk about the lead and follow. Now the first step in leading a variation is leading the basic clearly and consistently. My goal is to always feel a certain way. If I always feel a certain way, it's going to be easier for Claudia to get suspicious if I suddenly feel different. But if I feel different all the time, it's more difficult for a follow to notice differences, which is our main role, to notice differences. So step 1, on a basic, relaxed, slow, consistent leading. To hit the even, I send Claudia out with a little more urgency. The goal is to get to the end point earlier. And honestly, after reviewing the footage, something that I noticed that really good leaders do, especially at fast tempos, that I'm not doing, is not only do they move the follow away faster, but they move away from the follow.
So the follower doesn't have to go as far, which makes it easier for the follow and probably less forceful, which brings us to our second point.
I gotta make that end point feel springy but gentle because it's no fun to hit a brick wall. So I'm gonna start my end point earlier, meaning my elbow is gonna be more bent, and I'm going to follow Claudia out at her pace to make sure that that end point is obvious and gentle. Now for follows, the first step in following anything fast is thinking slow. For Claudia, this is gonna be a basic push out. And then she discovers that it's not. She can't be in a rush. After all, if you're rushing the slow version, the fast version is going to be harder to feel and very fast. Next, when I follow these kinds of redirections, I find it helpful to have a tighter frame, meaning my elbow is bent and closer to me. I feel like that helps me feel differences earlier. If you want more information on that, I have a whole video linked in the description.
Another important tool for followers is compensating footwork. In my opinion, I'm not leading a footwork, I'm leading a momentum change that has a few footwork solutions. For whatever reason, a follow might feel different footwork solutions for the same message. Don't worry about standardization. Claudia is keeping her momentum and her bounce and moving with confidence and style.
Lastly, and this is more nuanced, if my lead is gonna lead a more intricate rhythm, I kind of have to already understand what it is. I don't have to know the exact rhythm, but if my lead is going to punctuate even beats, I have to already hear how an even beat can be punctuated. I think one of the most obvious examples of this is if my lead is dancing on an even and I'm dancing on an odd, maybe we're hearing the music differently. The way my leader is communicating about the music doesn't make any sense to me, and therefore it's harder for me to play with my leader's ideas, and it's harder for me to even follow well. Another example is the toba. My leader can lead a toba, but unless I already know what a toba is, the chances of me following something that intricate are very low. So follows, the more you know, the more you can hear, the more you can understand, the more you can get, the more you can interact, the more you can dance. Strength and versatility. Now, we want to stop moving fast and go back to something slow. This is where follows really need to hold on to their slow thinking. This one is a basic. Nope. This one is a basic. Nope. This one is a basic. Yep. As a lead, I can make this more obvious by 1, giving an extra gentle push out, and 2, actively moving my arm beyond Claudia's hand. So you can imagine if I'm stopping Claudia, my hand is slowing down and the pressure between our palms is building. But if I don't want to stop Claudia, if I move my hand and give a little extra space between my palm and Claudia's palm, it's going to make the feeling of stop more difficult to get. I don't want there to be a whiff of endpoint until it's time. Obviously, you can do the same idea, but in the closed position tandem rock step. Now, since you're in a different space, the resolution is going to be different, but the technique is exactly the same.
I don't want to give you a specific count or sequence. Play with it. See what makes sense. What do you need to do to get back to something basic?
Now, put everything together and randomize it. Leaders, don't be tricky. Be obvious and comfortable. Followers, be slow and continuous. Good luck! this feels good. Let's do the same idea, but in a tandem push out turn. Now this is basically the Brooks, video linked in the description, with an overhead hand. So feel free to break down the basic or check out that original video. Speed it up to make that even beat variation.
If you need counts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2. Back to basic.
To lead and follow it, it's exactly that first open position variation that we did. Push out, blah, 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 rock step. Try it out.
And for some real fun, put the push out and the turn back to back.
1, 2, 3.
If you're feeling great and you want to keep going, let's put that same idea into a kick through. This is another Brooks Prumo classic.
Let's remember what a basic kick through is. Now, let's speed up the endpoint.
Of the lead and follow is exactly the same.
Leaders have a nice, comfortable, consistent basic, then send the follower out with more speed and make the endpoint early and comfortable. Followers think slow, relaxed thoughts, keep an awareness in your arm and chest so you can react to sudden increases in tension, and above all, keep dancing. Now try this idea out in a kick-through turn. I'm not going to teach it, but experiment and see what you can do.
Finally, let's put this into the hand-to-hand. Now, I've seen this move done many times. I've followed it many times. It's a more common variation on this idea, but I gotta say, in my experience, it's frequently uncomfortable. And that is why I wanted to go into that specifically in this video.
Here, Claudia and I are social dancing with this idea. We start out with a nice slow basic, then I add the fast redirect.
Starting an endpoint early so it can be gentle and cushioned still applies here. You can see I'm really reaching proactively across myself to get Claudia's hand early. Frequently when I follow this, the endpoint is kind of like running into a wall. Now, I know what the move is supposed to be. I rebound to the other side. Nobody's any the wiser, but it would be nice if it were a little more comfortable. It's a high velocity redirect. Give it some love.
One of the trickiest things for me as a lead is to remain calm and to make clear decisions. I have to be certain when I'm not going to do it and when I am going to do it. If I'm jumpy, I'll make my follow jumpy, and then my follow will probably think it's their fault.
Just like in tandem and the kick through, let's add a turn. Start nice and slow, then add some speed. Hope you had fun and learned a lot. If you did, like, subscribe, comment, YouTube algorithm, blah, blah, blah. If you like the music, you know it's the Brooks Prumo Orchestra, and there's a link to it in the description. And half of the money that I get from this YouTube channel goes towards organizations that support African diasporic artists and art, to support the founders of Lindy Hop. And the best way to learn to dance is to dance.